Hi. So I'm gonna go on a certain kind of ta I don't know if it's a tangent from my previous. Hi. Again, I don't know. That's just yeah. Today I plan on shooting 5 videos, so get excited. Uh, so here's the thing, man, and we have two choices. One is there are truths in this world that still need to be discovered, and I think I'm gonna use this video next because this video pertains to my idea and how basically I see the change in society and how I want to kind of be the person that creates that change in society. But the one is when something solidifies within you, you stop talking about it and it becomes a part of you. I was having this conversation with a friend. Okay, fuck this shit. So I was having this conversation with a friend, and we were kind of after 3 days of continuously just talking about stuff. It felt at one point it felt like there are some things that I don't necessarily have to share, have to discuss, and it wasn't because she kind of heard me speak about a lot of stuff and we talked about a lot of things. It was before because as I was engaging with her, like normally when you're discussing with people, there's always the yes, the no, the negotiation, the I agree, I don't agree. Like there are different points of views, and they're kind of observing each other and trying to see which person is sending the message, and is it the are you trying? Am I trying to tell you what's on my mind? Am I trying to show you something? Am I trying to just get feedback from something? Like all these are always a certain kind of engagement. But the funny thing behind this and that's partially why I actually started these YouTube videos, is because is the goal of discussing something is to kind of elaborate it in a sense where it becomes easier for you to extract from your head. And the best way I explained it was when something solidifies within you, you stop talking about it. And I meant you become you as an individual become the expression of those thoughts and those words. And it's as simple as if somebody's, I would use one of those quotes from Game of Thrones. I don't know if anyone's watched Game of Thrones. You should, man. It's just that shit was on fire for 8 years. Yeah. But Game of Thrones, I forgot what his name is. Lannister, the dwarf, little person, whatever. That guy basically looked at the king and he goes a king doesn't need to tell his subject that he's king. And basically just the way he acts is shows his kingship, his kingness. But isn't that the same with all of us? It's if I'm a guy that preaches peace but tends to kind of yell at people, am I really being peaceful? If I'm the kind of guy that preaches love and I tend to not really be kind to people, am I really a person that's in sync with love? But most of the time, what we do is, even though our behavior is not really solidified yet, the conversation behind how we want to be is the negotiation that we have with ourselves. And it's funny because it's it, I think the first time we hung out, we spoke for 8 hours. The second time we hung out, we spoke for 7 hours as well. The third time we hung out for 6 hours. And it was fun, right? Like we were working, we're just hanging out. There's two people doing their thing next to each other. We drink tea, we talk, we discuss, we colored, we she asked me about what I'm trying to do. I gave her a full pitch about my business and my project, basically. And she basically was giving me about what she's trying to do, and we discussed our own basically different merits and how we saw the world and how we would engage with our each other's different projects and pointers and all kinds of things. But ultimately, there came a time where we're just kind of sharing some thoughts, and these thoughts became very much, I don't want to say, it's just very much like if you take coal and you pressure it until it becomes like a diamond. Effectively, that's how the words that were coming out of my mouth like felt in my head, felt like these words are expressing exactly all the thoughts that were basically combined in order for them to come. And the reason I felt so confident about the fact that I wasn't really like talking about these things anymore the way I would want to, and not just with her, with everyone around me, kind of like once you establish that with somebody, it gives you a sense of like a sense of ownership, it gives you a sense of being. It's like me, like I established it with you. Why would it be any different with somebody else? And then suddenly, like every single part of the way I behaved has completely changed. And the fun part about that is it became a lot easier for me to kind of like go directly to the point that I'm trying to make or just stick to the conversation instead of like randomly going on tangents. It was super fun to actually watch myself be in that state because there's an empowerment, there's an empowering behavior behind it. There's a full observational structure where you're kind of like looking at yourself behaving in the way that you normally would be talking about or discussing or just trying to explain to yourself and to the world how you are. And you don't, and everyone else just gets it. They kind of see how you move, they kind of see how you're talking, they kind of see how you're engaging, and they get it. They understand I don't know, I think the profoundness of the experience of being able to express truthfully the things that you're talking about. And naturally, this is just about some stuff that pertain to how I see the world and to how I would want to be engaging with people and how I would want to be operating my business and how I would want to be just like the small differences between the I don't know the concepts of life. And those are just kind of like still small, but once you start seeing them, seeing your efforts, encompassing it, encompassing, I don't know if that's the word I want to use, but once you start seeing your efforts kind of like being portrayed in a more refined way, then you get more excited for the other things you're putting effort in. That you start getting excited for all the other bits and pieces that you're also incorporating in your day, and you're still kind of like pulling and pushing. I think at that moment I kind of like realized like especially when what came to me is like when something solidifies within you, you stop talking about it. I think it kind of came to me that I had changed, and it was a moment. It was like I call them moments, but it was like a couple of weeks of kind of like engaging with somebody a certain kind of way that completely shifted how I looked at myself and how I presented myself, expressed myself, and all that. It's super fun. It's super fun simply because I strongly believe you have to practice enough until one person gets you, and when they do, you'll realize what are the things that you were trying to express all this time through practicing with other people, and that kind of like becomes the. I talked to one of my YouTube followers the other day. He said a golden line that kind of like brings out what you're trying to explain. I think, or a golden flow. I don't know. I think a golden line is what he used. And I think that kind of like fits perfectly because kind of know exactly what you're trying to pull and you know exactly the road to pull it instead of just exploring it. It's the previous practices that you're doing because every time you're discussing something, you're kind of figuring out which is the better way for you to land, which is the better way for you to kind of like land that thought, land your idea, understand it more, like capture it within yourself so that anytime any movement you make is expressing it, setting it free, is showing the world who you truly are and creating that kind of like reality around you so people can notice and see it. Fascinating. I don't know. It's the power of I think that's the power, the true power of engagement, and how basically how you refine yourself through self-actualization, and how your surroundings, as you experiment with them, kind of like drive you into the ultimate form that you're seeking. And easily, step by step, I really think, and my dad used to say that a lot, it's just like there's always kind of like times for input and there's times for output. And you input and you input and you input and you input, and it just gets in your head. And as you output it, you're kind of like creating that path towards it because you're extracting the things that you inputted, and eventually you don't need them all. You just need that one thing that explains the whole thing, and they're kind of like connected to it some way or on that like golden line, on that golden flow, where it becomes the simplest thing in the world to extract simply because everything about you has encompassed that idea and everything about you has expressed truly what kind of person you are becoming and the direction you're moving and how you're behaving towards that direction. Fun stuff, man. When something solidifies within you, there's no need to talk about it anymore because it truly becomes a part of you. All right. Thank you.